Hi there, Kingsland Elementary School. Today we are going to be going over points of emphasis in the Kingsland Elementary School Handbook. This entire handbook can be found on our school's website. Here you will see a picture of our amazing principal, Dr. Ellis. This is where you would find information about visitors, so if they are allowed in our school, where they're allowed, breakfast and lunch, how to make a payment in breakfast and lunch, what food is allowed on campus. This goes over Pledge of Allegiance, parent and school communication, use of photographs and video footage, social work services. Then moving down to page 8, family educational rights, federal program complaints, administrative medicines, animals on campus, all of this information, bike safety, emergency closings, parent protocols, video surveillance. One area that we do want to stop and talk about is our makeup and missing work policies. So grades 3 through 8, students who are absent from school will be permitted to make up any work missed during the absence. They are allowed the number of days absent plus 1 to make up missing assignments. Missing work that would lead to a failing grade should be assigned an I until the work has been completed. This goes over the hospital homebound program, tardies and dismissals, progress reports and report cards, gifted education, internet usage by students. This is another point of emphasis for students. So student responsibilities. Students are responsible for abiding by the Camden County Schools Internet Acceptable Use Policy, regulation, and guidelines. The use of the internet and access to it is a privilege, not a right. The internet network must be used for appropriate educational purposes and research. The internet network must only be used with the permission of designated school staff. Consideration of other users on the network and appropriate language use for school situations is required. Internet network services or equipment must not be intentionally degraded or disrupted. Any security problems or breaches of these responsibilities must immediately report to an appropriate school system, school staff. All rules and expectations regarding the internet use must be followed. Personal information such as address, phone numbers must not be given out through the internet. Students have no right to privacy when using the district's internet device or network. Any conduct that is in conflict with these responsibilities is inappropriate and may result in termination of network access and possible disciplinary action. We're also going to go over the Student Internet Code of Ethics. Students accessing or using web products, including but not limited to blogs, wikis, podcasts, Google applications, etc., for student assignments are required to keep personal information out of their postings. Students will not post or give out photographs of themselves or others, their family name, password, username, email address, home address, school name, city, country, or other information that could help someone locate or contact them in person. Students will not log in to the network as any other classmate. Students using web tools will treat these tools as classroom space. Speech that is inappropriate for class is not appropriate on the web tools. Students are expected to treat others and their ideas online with respect. Assignments on web tools are like any other assignments in school. Students in the course of completing the assignment are expected to abide by policies, procedures in the student handbook, including those policies regarding plagiarism and acceptable use of technology. Student blogs are to be in form for student expression. However, they are first and foremost a tool of learning. The district may restrict speech for valid educational reasons. Students shall not use the internet in connection with their teacher assignments to harass, discriminate, or threaten safety of others. If students receive a comment on a blog or other web tool used in school that makes them feel uncomfortable or is not respectful, they must report to the teacher and must not respond to the comment. Students access the web tools for homeschool using school equipment, shall not download or install software without permission. Students should be honest, fair, and courageous in gathering, interpreting, and expressing information for the benefit of others. Always identify sources and test the accuracy of information with sources. Students will treat information sources, subjects, colleagues, and information consumers as human beings deserving of respect. Gathering and expressing information should never cause harm or threat to be harmful to any person or group of people. Students are accountable for their readers, listeners, viewers, and to each other. Students should report unethical information and practices to school staff. Failure to follow the code of ethics will result in academic sanctions and or disciplinary action. You can follow on down. You can see there's a couple other things on this page here. School fundraising, notice regarding teacher paraprofessional qualifications, equal education opportunities, dress code. Students shall not dress, groom, wear, or use emblems or anything that would affect or distract other students or cause disruption or interference with the operation of school environment. The principal or other duly authorized school official shall determine whether any particular mode of dress, apparel, grooming, or use of emblems, innuendos, badges, or other symbols will result in an interference of or disruption. Items not allowed at school. So cell phones are one of those items. Cell phones must be picked up by a parent or guardian if they are confiscated by a school official. The school accepts no responsibility or damage or stolen devices. It is not the responsibility of the administration to investigate lost, damaged, or stolen cell phones. Electronic devices. Students may not use personal electronic devices, including but not limited to earbuds, headphones, and cameras, iWatches, tablets, or any of those other things during the instructional day without teacher and administrator consent, and it's only for instructional purposes. Earbuds and headphones must not be visible or in use in the hallways at any time during the school hours. A student found in violation of this rule shall be subject to disciplinary action. School administrations may determine the appropriate consequences for violation of this rules. Cameras include, but are not limited to, digital video, cell phone, iPod, etc. Students will not take photos or videos of any type with any device while in school building or on school grounds, on the bus, at the bus stop, or at any other school-sponsored activity. Any student found in violation of this rule can be suspended from school for as many as 5 days. So again, there are other things on here that you can go over with your parents. I'm going to just scroll down to the Student Behavior Code and Student Guidelines for Behavior. So the general guidelines: students may bring book bags to school. However, book bags are subject to search at the discretion of administrators. Students may not interrupt a class to speak to another student during the instructional time. Signs, play cards, flyers, or other displays must be approved by administrators prior to posting. No goods may be sold at school without the permission of an administrator. Students may pay for lost or damaged textbooks, electronic devices, materials, books, and other school property for which the student is given responsibility. Students are expected to clean up after themselves by placing paper and trash in appropriate containers. Chewing gum is not allowed. No food is allowed outside the cafeteria area without special permission from the administration. School personnel will review the expectations for behavior in the cafeteria, during assemblies, on the playground, and on the school bus. Suspension agreement: should a student enroll in the Camden County school system and discovers that a student has been suspended, expelled, or recommended for expulsion from another school, the student is subject to being withdrawn from Camden County school system. Student Behavior Code. So I'm going to go through these really quickly. Participants fully in the learning process. You have to participate fully in the learning process. Students need to report to school and class on time, attend all regular scheduled classes, remain in class until excused or dismissed, pay attention to instruction, complete assignments to the best of their ability, and ask for help when needed. Avoid behavior that impairs their own or other students' educational achievement. Students should know and avoid the behaviors prohibited by this code. Take care of your books or other instructional materials and cooperate with others. Show respect for the knowledge and authority of teachers, administrators, and other school employees. Students must obey reasonable directions, use acceptable and courteous language, avoid being rude, and follow school rules and procedures. Recognize the respect the rights of other students and adults. All students should be shown concern for and encouragement of the educational achievements and active participants of others. Student support process, child study team. I'm going to keep scrolling down. The progressive disciplinary process, we can go over that. So the first step would be to try and reform the student and bring his or her conduct within acceptable standards, to deter other students from engaging in similar conduct, and to maintain control over the school as a whole and maintain school standards. That is why we help to correct these student behaviors. So student behavior code, you must follow rules applied while students are on the school grounds at any time, off the school grounds, at a school activity, function, or event, en route to or from the school, off the school grounds while the student is in attendance at a school function or engaged in activity that could have direct effect on orderly function of the school, in the jurisdiction of the school authorities, off school grounds when the misconduct is directed at the school. Disruption or interference with the school would be things like, it says no student shall pull the fire alarm, set fire to, attempt to set fire to, or otherwise damage any school building or property, occupy or block any area of the campus, prevent or attempt to prevent students from attending class, school activities, or events, except under the direction of instruction of the principal, block or attempt to block normal pedestrian or vehicular traffic in any manner by the use of violence, noise, force, coercion, threat, intimidation, fear, passive resistance, insult, or other disorderly conduct, intentionally or unintentionally causing a disruption of any lawful mission, process, or function at the school, including the teacher's ability to conduct his or her class or engage in any such conduct for the purpose of causing the disruption or obstruction of any lawful mission, process, or function. Refusing to identify yourself upon request of any teacher, principal, superintendent, bus driver, or other school personnel, be on campus or enter the premises of the school without proper authorization, fail to comply with reasonable verbal or written directions, rules, regulations, or commands of teachers, student teachers, substitute teachers, paraprofessionals, principals, school bus drivers, or other authorized school personnel, dress, groom, wear, or use emblems or symbols where their effect is to distract the attention of other students or cause disruption or interference with the operation of the school. The principal or other duly authorized school officials shall determine if symbols result in such interference or disruption. Damage, destruction, or misuse of school property or equipment. A student shall not cause or willfully maliciously attempt to cause damage or vandalism to the school property or alter, misuse school technology, equipment, or hardware, including access unauthorized areas on electronic devices. A student shall not steal or attempt to steal school property. A student shall not possess, sell, use, buy, or transmit stolen property, or attempt to possess, sell, use, buy, or transmit stolen property. This includes, but is not limited to, larceny, theft of school property, computer trespassing, accessing unauthorized areas on the computer, marking, defacing, or destroying school property, arson, and breaking and entering and burglary. Damage, destruction, or misuse of private property. I'll let you guys look over that one. Abuse, threats, intimidation, assault, or battery on school employees. I'll read over this. A student shall not make oral or written contact or symbolic gestures or contact of threatening or provoking nature to a school employee or in the presence of a school employee. This includes, but is not limited to, the following: oral threat, written threat, symbolic gesture, insult, use of vulgar or profane language directed towards a school employee, ethnic slur, racial slur, sexual slur, religious slur, and harassment. Cause or attempt to cause physical injury or behave in such way could reasonably cause physical injury or make physical contact of a threatening or provoking nature to a school employee. Examples include, but are not limited to, the following: behavior causing physical injury to the employee, physical contact of threatening or provoking nature to the employee, and physical assault or battery. This rule also applies to off-school grounds when the misconduct by the alleged perpetrator is due to or because of a result of the school employee's performance of his or her official duties. I'll let you guys read what happens when you do this. Right here, the first line, a disciplinary tribunal will determine all issues of fact and intent related to the incidents of alleged physical violence toward a teacher or school employee. Any person who commits the offense of battery against a teacher or other school personnel engaged in the performance of official duties while on school property shall upon conviction thereof be punished by imprisonment for not less than 1 nor more than 5 years, or a fine of not more than $10,000 or both. So that is a very serious issue. Abuse, threat, intimidation, assault, or battery by a student on another student or any other person not employed by the school. A student shall not make oral or written threatening, harassing, and intimidating remarks or symbolic gestures towards any student which threatened the safety or well-being of that student or have the likelihood of provoking a fight. This includes, but is not limited to, the following: oral threat, intimidation, written threat, symbolic gesture, bullying, insult, use of vulgar or profane language directed towards another student, ethnical slur, racial slur, sexual slur, religious slur, harassment, sexual harassment, disrespectful conduct, and arguing. Cause or attempt to cause physical injury or behave in such way as could reasonably cause bodily injury to any person. A student shall not engage in any behavior which threatens the safety or well-being of another person or has the likelihood of provoking a fight. This includes, but is not limited to, gesturing, posturing, fighting, insult, the use of profanity, or ethnical, racial, sexual, or religious slurs, or harassment. This includes, but is not limited to, the following: pushing and shoving, attempting to fight, pre-fight confrontation, fighting mutual participants in a fight where there is no one offender or majority injured, battery, when one individual physically attacks or beats up on another individual against his or her will, behavior causing physical injury to another student, physical contact of a threatening or provoking nature to another student, aggravated physical assault or battery, homicide, and kidnapping, seizure, transportation, and or detention of a person against their will. The Official Code of Georgia, bullying definition and discipline. So here's our definition. Bullying is any willful attempt to inflict injury on another person when accompanied by an apparent present ability to do so, or any intentional display of force such as would give the victim reason to fear or expect immediate bodily harm. Any student in middle or high school committing an act of bullying for the third time must be assigned to the alternative school. Weapons, dangerous instruments, explosive and implosive devices. A student shall not solicit, buy, sell, or buy or sell, or possess, handle, transmit, threaten with, or discharge, use any object that can reasonably be considered or converted to and or used as a weapon, such as, but is not limited to, the following categories: dangerous weapons, destructive devices, bombs, grenades, mine, bazookas. All of these things that are listed here, you guys can read over that, but none of that is ever allowed. Hazardous weapons, those all include the following that are listed there. All school employees are required to report criminal activity to their school principal if they have reasonable cause. Reasonable cause includes the knowledge of any person under 18 carrying weapons at school functions or within school safety zones, and illegal possession of a pistol or revolver by a person. The principal is required to report such activity immediately to the superintendent and to the police. So as we scroll down, this also talks about possession of weapons on school property and functions. This next section talks about drugs and alcohol and tobacco. The student shall not possess, sell, buy, or transmit, or attempt to sell, buy, or transmit any substance under the pretense that is in fact prohibited substance as described in this rule. You guys can read that list. The student shall not possess, use, or transmit, solicit any drug-related paraphernalia, which includes but is not limited to the following. That is under Part B. You guys can read over those. Part C, the student shall not possess, sell, use, transmit, buy, or solicit tobacco products or tobacco paraphernalia, such as, but it's not limited to, A through G there. Procedures for handling incidents of abuse. That is our next section. I'm going to scroll on down. Indecency. The student shall not engage in any act of sexual harassment of a physical nature or verbal nature. So you guys can read through that, A through K. Rule number 9, tardies and absence without leave from class and school. Rule number 10, other conduct which is subversive to good order. A student shall not perform any other act which is subversive to good order and discipline in the schools. This includes but is not limited to the following. You guys can see those. Violating local school rules, violating local law, state and federal law, violating compulsory attendance, gang-related activity and behavior, hate or hate group-related activity or behavior, providing false information, lying, cheating, laser pointers, unauthorized electronic devices, actions that are unethical or racially inflammatory, loitering, criminal trespassing, community misconduct, altering grades, driving on school grounds without a license, gambling. Electronic communication devices. Students may not use personal electronic devices during the instructional day without teacher or administrative consent for instructional purposes only. A student found in violation of this prohibition shall be subject to disciplinary action. School administration may determine appropriate consequences for a violation of this rule. Rule number 11 is secret society and gang activity. I'll let you guys read that over. Safe school policies. Rule number 12, repeated violations, misbehavior, chronic disciplinary problems. Students who chronically disrupt or repeatedly violate other school rules may be charged with repeated violations of school rules or misbehavior. This rule applies after remediation attempts include the development and implementation of student disciplinary and behavioral correction plans. So after you're put on a behavior correction plan and you continue to do these behaviors, this would be what would happen under that. So anytime a teacher or principal identifies a student as a chronic disciplinary problem, the principal shall notify the student's parents or guardian of the disciplinary problem by certified mail with return receipt requested or by telephone. The principal and his or her designee shall invite the parent or guardian to observe the student in the classroom situation, and the principal and or his or her designee shall request at least one parent to attend a conference with the principal or the teacher or both to devise a disciplinary and behavior correction plan. Rule number 13 is bus safety violations. You guys can read over those. The next one is about bus conduct, bus pass procedure, school bus safety reminder. Shows you where you should get off on the bus. And that is the end of our handbook.